Welcome to this special episode of Let Us Chat. With me, Adawiyah, your host. So, this is our incredible guest for tonight. Good evening.
Good evening. Hello.
Hello, how are you? I hope you're doing fine.
Doing really good these days. Thank you.
That's good to hear. Can you briefly introduce yourself and tell us how many languages you know?
Hello. My name is BINTI. I am a TESOL graduate from UMS, and I speak English, Malay, and Kadazan Dusun. And my fluency are in those order.
That's incredible. So, are you okay if we just move on with the questions?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, for the first question, can you share with us the reasons why you decide to learn these languages?
Uh, I decided to learn English from a very young age. Maybe learn isn't the word. I think I picked up on English from a very young age because it's mostly the media I consumed. I listened to English songs, watched English television shows, and I just picked it up from there. Malay is the daily language I converse in school, with my parents at home, with my siblings, my friends, and Kadazan Dusun because it's my tribal language and I live still in a very, um, what would you call it? Oh, a very culturally centered community. So my tribal language is still very much a part of our daily lives.
That's very interesting. I heard that you've learned these languages because you wanted to get closer to your grandma.
Oh my goodness, yes. My grandmother, she is 80 plus years old. She came from a time where, they had no cell phones, they had no technology. She basically lived with her ancestors in an ancestral house, and all she has ever known is the one language, which is her tribal language. And she doesn't speak Malay, so it's very hard for me to converse with her if I'm talking Malay and she's talking in like her native tongue. So I took the initiative to really learn my tribal heritage and of course the language that comes with it, because like I feel like it's such a waste not to be able to connect with her because she is such an interesting woman. She's like a look into the past, and I just really love conversing with her in her native tongue to strengthen our bond,
That's
basically.
incredible. That's so incredible of you. Okay, so on with the second question. So, learning languages can be hard. Can you tell us your strategy in learning English and Dusun?
English, because I think I express myself more fluidly in English. I feel like I am more comfortable expressing myself in English. I consume a lot of English media, very American For You page on TikTok, Instagram, and all the social medias are in English. So I feel like English is where I feel most at home, if I could say that. But I think how I advance my English skills would probably be reading a lot of books in English. And then I do consume a lot of podcasts in English, a lot of media still in English. And I guess I'm always learning new things about English every day. And aside from that, I also did a degree in TESOL, which is teaching English in a second language. So I feel like that's a really valuable um, source of education that I get to further in, because it mainly is about linguistics and English. So that's for English. For my third language, which is Karazan Dusun, it's a bit more complicated because generally speaking, I can understand it very well. I am able to converse in it, but I'd say not as fluently as in English and Malay. I have a bit of a stammer in my tribal language because I feel like I haven't really mastered it completely, or maybe not to an extent that I would like to be. So I really do just go by ear, because like I do live in a very like culturally centered like community where everyone is still very homogeneously Dusun. So I think I really do pick up on a lot of the vocabularies my elders use, and I observe and I pick up on things in everyday life. So everyday life is basically a learning experience for me. Just being able to follow in their footsteps and converse the way they converse, because I mimic them sometimes. Because language is just repetition, basically, right? You learn by observing. And aside from that, I also take initiatives to really find media in that language. My For You page, sometimes I purposely search out for like Dusun contents so I could like interact with it. And I really do appreciate that now they do have dictionaries in Dusun. So I find myself gravitating towards books in Dusun these days too, because like I need to keep that language in me alive somehow, and I'm trying to basically put it in my everyday routine. So yeah, that's how I learned Kadazandusun.
Incredible, incredible. Using media, searching for a media like books and stuff specifically in that language. That's quite a smart way to learn it. Thank you for that. So the last question for tonight is: do you have any tips or advice for total beginners on how to learn new languages?
I feel like if you're a beginner in a language, obviously you have to have a lot of vocabularies in the language to be able to like have a sense. I mean, you have to have basic vocabularies in the language to be able to grasp the meanings of, you know, essentially what you're talking about. So maybe learn a couple of words every day, and just start from there. And so aside from that, you could also, you know, the world is at our fingertips these days. We have our phones, and the phone is a very useful tool. Utilize it to the best of your abilities. There's AI, there's also tons of content on social media that you can find about languages. So maybe start from there too. And I'd say, thirdly and lastly, just don't be hard on yourself. I think life is just a continuous process of learning things. So don't be hard on yourself if you don't learn it like immediately or instantaneously. Just enjoy the process and revel in the small motivation. Just take it slow and just motivate yourself every day with the will that you're going to be able to do this someday, and you're doing something good with the time that you have.
Thank you for sharing. That is very insightful from you. And that is all from our first guest for tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. You're welcome.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you too.
This is our next guest for Let Us Chat. So, first and foremost, can you briefly introduce yourself and tell us how many languages you know?
Okay, first off, I'm Daffodil. I have learned three languages. For first one is my mother tongue, which is Bahasa Melayu. Second would be English, and third one is Chinese.
Incredible, incredible. So, first question for tonight. Can you share us the reason why you learned these languages?
It wasn't really my decision, as I was sent to a Chinese school. So I learned the language Chinese since I was 7 years old up until I'm 12. English was taught at home, being given like practices to learn the language, whereas like Bahasa Melayu is my mother tongue, as I mentioned. So I'm clearly fluent in that criteria of language.
I see. All right. So, as we all know, right, learning languages, a new language can be hard. So, can you tell us your strategy in learning basically your second and third language?
So to start off, for English and Chinese, yeah, practices a lot, but I have to really immerse myself into that language, such as listening to music, watching movies, or following like the native speakers like on social media helps me to absorb the language naturally. So when I was like 7 to 12, for Chinese, we basically like listen to it every time in school, and like the teachers would speak to us in Chinese as well as other students because like mainly in the school was Chinese students. So for English, I basically learned it at home, especially from movies and listening to musics. So that helped me. So exposure is the key. And second of all, I would say start with the basic. So my strategy would be start with the basic. For example, focus on the essential words and phrases, learn like greetings, common verbs, and simple sentence structures to build a strong foundation to make it sound like natural. And so you have to really practice it daily. For like Chinese, since like um, I don't really speak Chinese so much right now, but then like after I finish my high school, tours, I then like stop for a while, but then like I have like Chinese friends like keep interacting with me, so it never gone entirely. For like English, yeah, I use it like daily with friends, most of it, and since like I also like watch TikTok and like movies, mainly it's just like English.
Okay, thank
So that's it.
you. Oh, that's very incredible. Learning, immersing yourself and searching for medias that basically help you learn the languages, like watching movies, like you said, listening to music. That's an incredible way to
Yeah.
learn it. So, last question for tonight. Do you have any tips or advice for total beginners on how to learn new languages?
For total beginners, I would say you have to start, and when you want to start, you will definitely make a mistake. So make a mistake without fear, as every mistake is a step toward improvement. Even for me, my Chinese isn't like very good enough. But like, don't be afraid to ask opinion, whether is it your pronunciation or grammar structure, or even an asking an example how to speak the language better. For example, sometimes I have Chinese friends, I want to interact them with Chinese because I want to improve my Chinese rather than like, okay, I understand they're able to grasp on English if I said it English and Chinese, but then I wanted to speak in Chinese. So I will ask them, oh, how do you speak this type of like this? How do you speak it in Chinese? Like, I'm asking for opinion, like how to speak in that, like how do I pronounce this better. So to make it more fun, like have a study buddy or have like someone that speak the language that you are studying, where both of you help each other out. Besides that, learning the language does take time, and so have patience. Don't be so hard on yourself, like just follow your own pace and your own process. So I think that will be all.
Thank you. Very insightful. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. Thank you too for asking.
Okay, that is all for tonight, everyone. Thank you. Thank you as well, Daffodil. Thank you.
Thank you.